Harris, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar facing some significant fallout after making these harsh comments following the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
There is nothing more effed up, than to completely pretend that, his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade. These people are full of, and it's important for us to call them out.
Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn took offense, reacting on X, quote, Ilhan shows no remorse in slandering an honorable man who was brutally murdered in cold blood for the entire world to see. As many grieve the loss of a husband, father, and patriotic American, Ilhan has chosen a divisive and dangerous path.
The hearing opened under a tense, electric silence. Every eye in the chamber fixed on Ilhan Omar as she prepared to defend herself before a nation divided. To her right sat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib, her closest allies, faces set in determination. Across the aisle, Nicole Malliotakis and Lisa McClain waited with calm precision, their expressions composed but resolute. Cameras lingered on Omar's face, measured, controlled, yet shadowed by the strain of what was coming. Then AOC rose, her voice blazing with conviction. She condemned proceedings as political theater, accusing her colleagues of weaponizing accountability. This isn't about justice, she declared. It's about silencing courage. Her words cracked through the stillness, igniting murmurs across the chamber. Some nodded, others bristled. The air grew dense with unease. Moments later, Nicole Malliotakis took the floor, her tone steady, her delivery surgical. She accused Omar of betraying the very principles that granted her a platform. You've used your voice not to build bridges, Malliotakis said, but to erode the foundations that unite this country. A sharp wave of reaction swept the room, gasps, whispers, shifting glances. For the first time, the hearing no longer felt like a debate. It felt like judgment. Malliotakis stood firm, her presence commanding, her words echoing long after they were spoken. Across the room, Omar's composure flickered, just for a moment, as the gravity of the confrontation settled over the chamber.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlelady from Michigan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to use that logic, well, then all those people should have just said sorry and we'd move on, right? But no, we don't do that. And let me tell you, I take a little bit of offense to what the hell is wrong with me. I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with me. I took an oath to defend the Constitution, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Again, I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm going to hold the Constitution, and it's very simple. We really shouldn't even have this debate. If you break the law and you follow due process, there are consequences to your actions, even if you say sorry. So we can try all of the diversion tactics that we would like. It doesn't change the fact that someone broke the law and that someone should be held accountable. It is disappointing, Mr. Speaker, that their own party can't hold them accountable, that they have such hypocrisy. So with that, I yield 2 minutes to my friend from New York.
AOC shot back without hesitation, her words blazing with defiance and conviction. She condemned the attacks on Omar as thinly veiled discrimination, warning that history would not be kind to those who use their power to silence women of color. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from fury, each word landing like a challenge. If you truly believe in free speech, she said, turning toward her critics, then stop weaponizing it against your peers. Her declaration ripped through the chamber. Cheers and shouts collided in a storm of noise as lawmakers argued across the aisle, the line between debate and confrontation vanishing in an instant. The speaker's gavel pounded for order, but the air crackled with emotion too raw to contain. Then Lisa McClain rose. Her tone was calm but cutting, every syllable sharpened by discipline. She accused Omar of showing a dangerous disregard for the nation's core values and argued that such conduct had no place on committees entrusted with shaping U.S. policy. We can disagree on policy, McClain said evenly. But allegiance to this country is not up for debate. Applause thundered from her side of the chamber. Cameras caught Omar sitting perfectly still, blinking fast, her hands clasped tightly before her. Around her, even allies exchanged uneasy glances. The air grew heavy again, thick with judgment, pride, and the unspoken realization that this hearing had become something much larger than politics.
Nicole Malliotakis.
Gentlelady is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentlelady from the great state of New York, Nicole Malliotakis.
Gentlewoman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've heard from my colleagues the reasons why the Representative Omar should be removed from this committee, but I feel like all the reasons have not just yet been stated, which is why I rise to add for the record. We've heard about the comments that were made regarding anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli views, but I rise to add to the record that as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I've sat there and heard the representative actually spew anti-American rhetoric as well. I've been in that committee room where the representative equates Israel and the United States to Hamas and the Taliban. Absolutely unacceptable for a member of that committee. I've also heard the representative equate that it is the United States' fault that there is turmoil in Venezuela, that is not because of the oppressive socialist and communism that has spread throughout Central and South America and Venezuela at the hands of the Maduro and Hugo Chavez regimes. That is unacceptable. And as a New York representative, to hear the representative belittle, to try to diminish the worst terrorist attack on United States soil on September 11, 2001, as some people did something, that is unacceptable as well. And I hold the same standard for this side of the aisle that I do the other, because when another colleague on my side said something about 9/11, I also voted to have her removed from the Education Committee because I thought that was inappropriate. So I'm being consistent here, and I hope my colleagues will do the same to show that this is about consistency and accountability, because we should not have an individual with those views on the committee that is tasked with representing our country and our Congress to foreign nations. I yield back.
Then came Rashida Tlaib. Her eyes shimmered under the chamber lights, emotion cutting through every word before she even spoke. Her voice wavered at first, but grew steadier with each sentence, filled with conviction and pain. She defended Omar fiercely, calling the attacks not only unjust, but un-American, an affront to the very ideals Congress was meant to protect. She has endured threats, hatred, and endless scrutiny, Tlaib said, her voice cracking with passion. And yet, she never stopped serving. You don't have to agree with her, but you must recognize her humanity. The word struck like an emotional tremor, rippling through the chamber. For a fleeting moment, even Omar's harshest critics averted their eyes, disarmed by the raw sincerity of the plea. The noise faded, the political armor lowered. Then Ilhan Omar rose, calm but visibly shaken. She took a long breath before speaking, her tone deliberate, her emotions barely restrained. She spoke of her journey from a war-torn homeland to the promise of America, describing the country not as perfect, but as a place of hope that had once given her family safety and belonging. I know I am not without flaws, she admitted quietly, but I have always stood for what I believe is right. Her voice trembled as she turned toward Nicole Malliotakis and Lisa McClain, not with anger, but with resolve. I respect your right to disagree, she said, but I cannot accept being called disloyal. Debate my ideas, but do not question my love for this country. The silence that followed was profound. Cameras zoomed in on faces once filled with tension, now frozen in quiet reflection. For the first time that day, partisanship seemed to fade, replaced by something rare inside those walls: human recognition. Every word lingered in the air, steady and haunting, like the echo of a truth too long ignored.
Thank you, and I yield back the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr.
Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to address the House floor for 1 minute and extend and revise my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to congratulate my colleagues on voting to remove Representative Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. The passage of H.R. 76 sends a strong message that we support Israel and the Jewish community. I urge the 118th Congress to now stand together, proudly upholding every single American, no matter race, pedigree, religion, nor creed, as any less American than their neighbor. That Jewish Americans are patriotic Americans, and that we all have a role in fighting bigotry and anti-Semitism in our country. We must make sure that the House of Representatives reflects such principles as a united body. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to...
But the silence shattered almost instantly. Nicole Malliotakis struck back, her voice cutting through the stillness like glass. She dismissed Omar's words as too little, too late, an attempt, she said, to play the victim rather than take responsibility. Patriotism isn't proven by speeches, Malliotakis declared, her tone sharp and unwavering. It's shown through action. Her words sliced through the chamber, reigniting the tension that had only barely settled. Omar's composure faltered. Her lips trembled as emotion broke through the calm facade she had fought to maintain. AOC and Tlaib leaned toward her, whispering for calm, but the barrage continued. The room descended into chaos. Voices colliding, tempers flaring, and the clang of gavels drowned beneath the uproar. Cameras captured Omar blinking back tears, her expression caught somewhere between disbelief and exhaustion. Then, suddenly, AOC was on her feet again. Her eyes blazed with fury, and her voice rose above the pandemonium. "This isn't justice," she thundered. "This is performance." The words reverberated off the walls as she accused the committee of turning accountability into spectacle, of punishing dissent rather than wrongdoing. The chamber erupted once more. Cheers from one side, jeers from the other. "You're not removing her from misconduct," AOC shouted over the noise, her voice shaking with conviction. "You're removing her because you fear her voice." The accusation hung in the air like a charge waiting to ignite. For a long, tense moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly the gavel fell, its echo sharp, final, and full of consequence.
Mr. Speaker, freedom of speech is the beating heart of a democracy. It's the entire reason that this building exists, so that we can talk out our differences. Free societies do not fear free speech, even when that speech is hateful or malignant or stupid. Free societies recognize that the only way to separate fact from fiction, love from hate, truth from lies, wisdom from folly, or good from evil is to put them side by side and to trust the people to know the difference. No central authority must ever be given the power to take this vital freedom away from the people or to punish anyone solely for expressing their opinions. Now, we based our entire form of government on the assumption that when exposed to all sides and all viewpoints, more than half the people are going to get it right more than half the time. This assumption has served us well through the centuries. The left rejects this premise. For many years, leftists have told us that speech is violence and can be answered with violence. This justifies their shouting down opponents and disrupting peaceful assemblies. We've repeatedly watched leftist mobs burn our cities, loot shopkeepers, and assault people on the streets while leftist politicians egg them on. We see the growing physical attacks on law enforcement. The left used the FBI to suppress debate on critical issues ranging from COVID lockdowns to Biden family influence peddling to climate hysteria. It's called for government commissions to regulate it. In Europe, leftist governments now criminalize it. Now, I raise these points because a member of this House recently made some truly vile and despicable remarks about Charlie Kirk after his brutal assassination. Her words should be loudly and universally condemned. Now, last night on the House floor, a resolution of censure was brought against her in the name of Charlie Kirk to formally punish her for her hateful rhetoric. But what did Charlie Kirk say about hate?
Moment before the final vote, Lisa McClain rose one last time. Her tone was calm, her words deliberate. "We are not silencing Ilhan Omar," she said evenly. "We are preserving the standards of this institution." Her expression carried no malice, only resolve. But the outcome was already decided. Omar sat quietly, head bowed, tears tracing slow lines down her cheeks as she clutched her notes. The fire that once lit her speeches had dimmed into quiet sorrow. Cameras caught the haunting image. Omar wiping her eyes, a single frame that would come to define the day. The gavel struck. The decision was final. The chamber erupted. Cheers on one side, heartbreak on the other. AOC and Rashida Tlaib rushed to Omar's side, embracing her as camera flashes filled the room. Red-eyed but composed, Omar whispered, "You may take my seat, but not my voice." Together, the trio walked out, their unity unshaken. Behind them, McClain and Malliotakis watched from their benches, satisfied, yet solemn. Outside, the cold air met a frenzy of reporters. AOC spoke first, her voice steady but heavy. "This wasn't a victory for democracy," she said. "It was a warning." Tlaib followed, her voice cracking. "This decision showed how easily truth can be replaced with politics." Omar, wrapped in a dark coat, simply murmured, "I have no regrets." That single line would dominate headlines across the nation. Inside the Capitol, Malliotakis defended the vote as a matter of accountability, earning both praise and outrage. Online, the nation fractured in real time. Hashtag Stand With Omar and hashtag accountability now trended side by side, a digital mirror of America's divided conscience. That evening, Omar appeared in an emotional interview. "I wasn't removed for wrongdoing," she said softly. "I was removed for who I am." Her words struck a chord, an anthem of resilience in the face of rejection. At a press conference, McClain stood firm. "Politics is emotional," she said, "but emotions don't erase consequences." Her composure clashed starkly with Omar's raw pain, fueling the growing national debate. On social media, AOC's voice trembled as she called it one of Congress's darkest days. "It broke me to see her treated like that," she wrote, igniting a wave of solidarity. Tlaib's tearful floor speech followed soon after. "We may have lost a seat, but we haven't lost our moral compass." Her words echoed to the halls, heavy and unforgettable. Analysts later called it one of the most emotional hearings in modern history, a collision of identity, conviction, and power. When Omar returned home, crowds met her with chants and handwritten signs. Smiling through tears, she told them, "You've shown me what real solidarity looks like." For her supporters, it wasn't just a rally, it was redemption. And though Congress moved on, the echoes of that day lingered. Omar, AOC, and Tlaib became symbols of resilience, McClain and Malliotakis of institutional order. Both sides claimed victory, yet the nation was left confronting a deeper truth. The fight over Ilhan Omar's seat had ended, but the struggle over what it meant for America had only just begun.